Hey guys, it's Marissa from Little House Living. I just wanted to make a quick video this morning to address some things that I've seen going around lately, and I want to do it before it gets super hot today. We're supposed to get over 100 degrees today, which isn't normal for us up here. We only get a couple 100-degree days during the summer, so I'm dressed for the weather, and I've got the swamp cooler going on inside the house, which is why I'm not filming in there this morning. But I just wanted to talk about a couple things. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube lately about different food shortages. I mean, I know that there has been those type of videos going on for the last couple years, but they're still going on, and there's still videos on very specific things that we're supposedly having some shortages on. So I just wanted to talk about that from my perspective. I know that I've mentioned before on the blog and in a couple videos that our family owns a bulk foods co-op, and so as my job for that co-op, I buy the produce and I buy the dry goods. So I'm in constant contact with growers, with suppliers, all kinds of people like that all the time because of what I'm doing. And so when I see videos that talk about food shortages, I just have some questions if they don't have a very specific source for what they're talking about. So one of the things, my mom called me this morning and she said, I was just watching this video and they were talking about how there's going to be a popcorn shortage. And honestly, things like that, I have no idea where that would come from. I buy bulk popcorn all the time in the 50-pound bags. Most popcorn that's sold in the U.S. is grown in the U.S., probably in like Nebraska, Kansas, kind of in those areas. I haven't seen any shortages on it. I haven't gotten word of any shortages on it upcoming or otherwise. So when I see things like that, especially when they're specific, it really makes me question, like, what was the source on this? Since I don't seem to have the same information, at least from the places that I buy in bulk from. So one of the things that I have seen, and this is for sure, and it's been going on for over the last year, is there is a definite employee shortage. There's a definite labor shortage, and that could cause not shortages in the food supply, but cause delays in how quick that that's getting to the shelves or how quick that it's getting to you. So that's something that I have seen. But again, that would just be a delay. It's not a shortage. I think the word shortage is like, it's like a buzzword. When you say it, people get all panicky and they worry about stuff, but I don't think that delays, they're cause for concern on some level, but they're not a cause for panic or overbuying or something like that. So like I said, my mom just brought up the thing about the popcorn. I know there's been other stuff going around. I'm in a very large group on Facebook, and the other day something was posted about how there's a potato shortage right now. Well, if we just think about that logically for a minute, potatoes are usually harvested in the fall, and then the larger potato growers are going to have some kind of storage for those potatoes so they can sell them all winter long, and then they'll have another crop the next fall. So right now we're in August, and that means that the new crop hasn't been harvested yet, but probably the old crop is running out. That does not mean that there's a potato shortage. It just means that we have a little bit of gap in between the stored crop and the new crop. So another thing that I think is really important is that you know what your growing cycles are. And if you're, not in the United States, or if you're in a different part of the country, this can look differently for everyone. But some of those staple crops like potatoes, they're all going to be the same because they all kind of come from the same generalized region. But yeah, so the potato crop is just not ready yet. It's not that there's a shortage or that there's going to be a shortage this year. I haven't heard anything about that. I buy potatoes just about every single month for our bulk co-op. So there's no potato shortage. There is a gap in the market between the old crop and the new crop. And that's what happens with a lot of things, not just potatoes, but stuff all year round. I think that we as consumers have gotten so used to buying stuff, any stuff, whenever we want it, any time of year. We don't even think about those growing cycles anymore, because you go into the grocery store and you can buy strawberries in the middle of January, and those strawberries, I mean, they may be growing some small crops in like Mexico at that time, but that's not typical season for strawberries. So just because you can't get strawberries in the middle of January in the grocery store doesn't mean there's a strawberry shortage. It just means that that growing season has ended and there just isn't this abundance of them at the grocery store at that time. So that's why it's really important to know what those growing seasons are, because it can definitely save from some undue panic, especially when it comes to produce and stuff. As far as other dry goods and grains, I have not heard any specific shortages coming for this year. I haven't heard anything. I know that there's been a lot of stuff out there about wheat, but at least where I get my wheat from for our, like the wheat berries and stuff for our bulk foods co-op, it all comes from the United States, and I haven't seen anything on shortages for that. If somebody else has a different source, then I would love to see it and see its validity. But I think that we've gotten in the last 2 years so used to this panic buying, because we just don't know when we go into the store what we're going to get. But that's not due to food shortages. It's due to, like I said, the labor shortages, the employee shortages, and sometimes packaging shortages, depending on what you're buying. That has been an issue over the last couple years. I'm not 100% sure why it's still an ongoing issue, but it has been something that I have noticed. Stuff comes in a different package, or it's just packaged differently than it used to, but that's really not a big deal in my opinion. So a couple more things that I wanted to mention. So one thing is, during the height of the virus 2 years ago, we would go into the grocery store here, and this was before we started our bulk foods business. We'd go into the grocery store and there was nothing to buy. The shelves were empty unless you really liked canned soup. But there was almost no produce. The frozen foods were gone. There was just nothing, and we all know what caused those shortages and how that happened. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but the one thing that did teach us, and I think that's an important takeaway from all this, is that we're not always going to be able to go to the store and get the exact same thing that we've always bought. So during that time, I would go to the store, and it didn't matter how much I wanted grapes. If there was no grapes at any of the grocery stores, I was just out of luck for that time. But if we were able to get cabbage or zucchini or something, then that's what was going on our menu for that week, because that's what we could get at that time. So I think that it's important to be flexible in what we're buying. We get so stuck on the same menus, the same items, and like having the same stuff all the time, that when it's not on the shelf, then that's when we start to panic. Oh, I can't get my same, make this same meal the same way that I've been doing it all this time. And again, that goes back to just because we've gotten so used to going to the stores and everything is available all the time, but that's just not a reality. It's not a reality that we should have been living in, but it is the reality that we have been living in for several years. Let me just fix my camera here. It's just a little bit windy today. So that's something that I think is important to remember, just to be flexible when you're planning what you're buying and what foods you're getting and stuff. That will definitely save from some of that panic buying. However, if there is specific things that you want to buy, so if there's somebody in your family that can only eat a certain type of something, or has an allergy to something so they can only eat a certain something, then it might be a good idea for you to stockpile that particular item if you're concerned that at some point it might go out of stock due to any of these issues, or just due to a truck not getting to the grocery store on time when you get to the grocery store. That happens a lot. So I would recommend, and I've recommended this in other videos and on the blog, but I would recommend having a 3 to 6 month stockpile of the things that you regularly eat. That way, that amount of time, even just 3 months of time, is going to get you through any gaps in the growing season, or any shortages caused by some labor delays or trucking issues or something like that. 3 months is a good goal to have. Even better could be 6 months if you just want to be prepared and or don't get to the grocery store very often. That can just buy you that extra security that maybe you're looking for. But anyway, I know that this is not my typical video. I don't make stuff that's like controversial, and I'm not really sure that this topic is, but I've seen so much of this lately, and I don't think that it's a need to panic when there's incorrect information going around, or sometimes it is correct information. Sometimes there is a shortage of something, but it might be from one specific country, or a shortage in one specific region or something like that. But then the word gets out that this is a shortage, and then all of a sudden it becomes this larger issue that actually wasn't that issue to begin with. So just really important to check your sources for things, and really dig into something that you hear someone say or whatever before you internalize it and start to worry about it, because I really don't think that any of us need to worry more than we already are just in our general daily lives. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that gives you some clarity and some insight into this shortage or whatever is going on lately, and maybe just gives you a little bit of encouragement that we just don't need to waste our worry on some of these things, and then some ideas on how your family can avoid any of this panic buying or panicking about food and where it's coming from. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope this video was helpful for you, and if you have comments on it, be sure to leave those down below, and I will talk to you guys later.